And anyone who votes no on this is sabotaging Joe Biden.
A couple of Justice Democrats, one that's in Congress and one that isn't, went on cable news and slammed the 9 conservative Democrats that are holding up the passage of the budget reconciliation or resolution bill. Now, this is, of course, the big fight that's going on right now within the Democratic Party is the idea of passing these two bills together, the infrastructure package and the budget resolution. The idea being that all the benefits are in the budget resolution, so progressives want to pass that first before promising or before agreeing to pass the infrastructure bill. And the 9 moderates here are trying to hold that up, though there is some reporting, as I discussed yesterday, that some of them are now falling away or no longer in support of that, so maybe less than 9 at this point. But still, this fight is going on, and you have here, first, I'll show you Khanna. And the reason I'm showing this is because there's some fantastic messaging here that you rarely ever see progressives utilize in the way that they are now doing. So I'm going to point that out, starting with this first clip with Khanna on MSNBC.
Let me ask you, while I've got you here, a little bit of political news as we have the 9 Democratic House moderates relative to infrastructure. They're threatening to withhold their support for the budget resolution. They're demanding that it be separated from the $1.2 trillion bipartisan package. They want to vote on that right now. What is your response to this, and how do you see this playing out this week when the House tries to pass the budget resolution? Do you think it will pass?
I do, Alex, but I do not understand what these 9 members are up to. I mean, they are obstructing this president's agenda. This would be a slap in the face to the president to vote no on just moving forward with the negotiation. Look, everyone has to compromise in Congress. I want Medicare for all. That's not in the bill. I want free public college. That's not in the bill. I want student loan forgiveness for working families. That's not in the bill. Guess what? You know whose bill it is? President Joe Biden. Last I understood, he won election as president. The Democratic Party needs to unify around his agenda to help people. And anyone who votes no on this is sabotaging Joe Biden and sabotaging the Democratic Party's agenda.
All right. This is just fantastic messaging. This is exactly what these progressives should be doing when they're on cable news, speaking to a largely, moderate, centrist, older audience. This is how you frame these issues. These 9 conservative Democrats are the ones that are holding up Joe Biden's agenda. They're the ones in the way of Joe Biden's agenda, the Democratic Party's agenda. So usually the way these discussions are framed is that, the progressives want too much, the entire party's trying to fight against them. Here, Khanna has flipped it, showing how by tying these 2 bills together, the infrastructure bill, tying it together with the budget resolution or budget reconciliation bill, by tying them together, he can now say that these 9 conservative Democrats are holding up Joe Biden's agenda. This is why, of course, it isn't just about Khanna's rhetoric. It's about the strategy of tying these 2 bills together. That's why it's such a brilliant move to do that, because they can now flip the conversation on these so-called moderates, they're really conservative Democrats, in showing that they're the ones that are actually holding up the passage of Biden's agenda, of the Democratic Party's agenda. So, and he also brings up here another point that I think more of these progressives should bring up, the fact that they are always compromising. So he said here that he has to compromise it. He's compromising on Medicare for all not being in this bill, on free college not being in this bill. So he's having to compromise on his positions. He's asking for these conservatives to compromise on their positions. So just perfect framing here all around from Khanna on this issue. Now let me show you Jessica Cisneros, who shockingly was on a MSNBC network. Now, she wasn't on cable news, but she was on the Peacock network. So that is their online app and online YouTube channel. But still, Mehdi Hassan, a MSNBC host who's been on the actual cable news network many times, bring on a challenger, a Justice Democrat challenger to Henry Cuellar. Now, I think this is the first time that I've seen a Justice Democrat on a mainstream network before they've been elected. So this is actually a fairly big moment. I could be wrong there, but I think this is the first time that this has happened. So here's Jessica Cisneros discussing the same fight.
Joining me now is candidate for Congress, Jessica Cisneros. She is primarying Congressman Henry Cuellar of Texas, who is one of the 9 Democrats intent on blocking Speaker Pelosi's plan. She's also associated with Justice Democrats, whose ad you just saw. Jessica, thanks so much for coming on the show tonight. There's word from Speaker Pelosi tonight that she's sticking to her plan. Are you worried that these House members, including Congressman Cuellar of Texas, who you're challenging, that they're going to tank all of it?
Well, the problem here is, I mean, this isn't surprising, right, that the left is coming out to support this bill because this bill actually helps people. And it's really sad to see corporate Democrats such as Henry Cuellar, they're standing in the way of this long-awaited, hard-fought progress, right? You're talking about a bill, a once-in-a-generation transformative piece of legislation that President Biden and the Democratic Party, for the most part, are trying to champion because it expands Medicare, right? You're talking about lowering the age of Medicare, expanding benefits to include vision, dental, hearing. You're talking about a pathway to citizenship for many undocumented folks in our country, combating the climate crisis. These are all issues that are important to progressives and communities like mine here in South Texas. And it's, like I said, it's just really sad to see people like Henry Cuellar playing political games when in reality, you know, they're playing with the livelihoods of real people here on the border, real people everywhere across the country, because this bill is popular because it's actual tangible change. And we've been waiting for this progress for such a long time, many times decades, and now we see them, the time that it has come for them to vote, and they're not standing on the side of people.
So more great messaging here from progressives. Jessica Cisneros attaching actual policy to real people's lives and discussing how it'll impact, the viewers that are watching this. So to get even more specific on that, to be clear what's in that budget bill, you have the child extension of the child tax benefit, universal pre-K, paid family medical leave, tuition-free community college, lower prescription drug costs, dental, hearing, vision, Medicare expansion, that's a huge one, housing, home care, major climate money, immigration, also lower Medicare age, Obamacare expansion, also beefed up IRS tax enforcement, so going after more wealthier individuals. Right now, the IRS focuses largely on the poor and the middle class, which is ridiculous. But this would have them focus more on the wealthy, taxing the rich, taxing corporations, fees on polluters, Medicare negotiations. So you have here a lot of real benefits to people's lives if this budget bill were to pass. This is why there is such a fight right now from progressives to pass this, because this is where the actual benefits are. The infrastructure bill sure has some good provisions like replacing lead pipes, but a lot of it is also a giveaway to private companies. So here, this is what should be in the infrastructure bill, but isn't, so it has to be in this budget bill, and that's why there is such a fight over this right now. And just to go on, why these 9 are obstructing this progress, of course, they are bankrolled by pharma and oil. So big corporate interests are backing them. They don't want to have to pay more taxes. They don't want to have, more regulations on them. They don't want to have to compete, in the sense of whether it's in pharmacare, have to compete with lowering their prescription drug prices like they have to do in other countries. They want to have full control over the market. So, of course, they're being bankrolled by those corporations, and that's why there's that fight right now. And surprisingly, Nancy Pelosi on the right side of this fight, but that's because she understands the numbers. So I don't think, based on Pelosi's history, at least recently, she really does not care about passing anything that's progressive that will actually help people. But she does understand power. She understands numbers. And right now, the power is with the Congressional Progressive Caucus, where you have over 50 members that are saying they will not back the bipartisan infrastructure bill unless they pass the budget bill first. And that's why Nancy Pelosi is siding with them over just 9 moderate or corporate Democrats that are on the other side of that fight. But great messaging here from both Khanna and Jessica Cisneros.